All right, so what if I told you that you could tidy your home just once and have it stay that way forever? Today, we're going to dive into a method that promises exactly that. It's a truly revolutionary way to declutter not just your home, but your entire life.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Sounds a little too good to be true, right? But just stick with me here. This idea really gets to the core of why we all tidy up, only to watch the mess creep right back in a few days later. This is about ending that cycle for good. So first up, let's talk about escaping what's called the clutter spiral. We've all been there. It's that frustrating cycle where it feels like no matter how much you clean, the mess just always comes back. And here's the real reason why. The reason our homes don't stay tidy is because we're doing it all wrong. We're doing it piecemeal, a drawer here, a shelf there, and that halfway approach, it just never creates a big enough impact to really change our habits. So, what happens? We slide right back to where we started.
The solution, then, is a total shift in thinking. This isn't about tidying a little bit every day. No, this is about a single, massive, life-changing event, a tidying festival. The idea is that the transformation is so dramatic, so profound, that it fundamentally changes your relationship with your space. It makes it almost impossible to go back to your old, cluttered ways.
Okay, so how in the world do you even start something that big? Well, you might be surprised to hear that the first step has absolutely nothing to do with throwing things away. It all starts with a really simple but powerful mental exercise. See, the starting point isn't about what you're getting rid of. It's about getting a crystal clear vision of the life you actually want to live. Vague goals like, I just want a tidy home, well, they're not powerful enough to really drive this kind of change. And this is a perfect example of how specific you need to get. This quote is from a client who wanted to live a more feminine lifestyle. She didn't just see a clean room. She pictured herself doing yoga, listening to classical music, surrounded by aromatherapy, a feeling of peace. That specific vision is your destination.
So how do you dig deep and find that personal motivation? Well, there's this incredibly simple but powerful technique. You just keep asking yourself why about 3 to 5 times. You peel back all the surface-level answers until you get to the real core reason we do any of this, which is ultimately to be happy.
Okay, now we're getting to the absolute heart of the method. This is the central, game-changing principle that's going to guide every single decision you make from here on out.
This is the huge mindset shift. Most of us have been taught to tidy from a negative place, right? We're always hunting for things to throw away. This new way completely flips the script. The focus is positive. You're not looking for what to get rid of, you are actively choosing the things you want to keep in your life. It turns a stressful chore into this joyful celebration of the stuff you actually love. And this whole insight came from the author's own burnout. She used to call herself a disposal unit, and she was constantly stressed out. The big lesson she learned was that the focus has to be on what you cherish, on what you want to keep. And here it is, the legendary standard. The only thing you need to ask yourself is this simple question, but you have to physically hold each item. You can't just glance at it in the closet. You have to pick it up, hold it, and ask yourself, does this spark joy? In your body, it'll tell you the answer. So, we've got the mindset, we've got the magic question, now is time to get practical. Let's walk through the specific, non-negotiable rules for how you actually do this whole tidying festival.
Now listen up, because this is probably the biggest mistake that people make. We tidy by location. I'm going to tackle the bedroom today. That is a fatal error. Why? Because you've got clothes in your bedroom, but also in the hall closet, maybe some in the basement. You never get a true sense of how much you have. The right way is to tidy by category. Gather every single item of clothing you own from the entire house and put it all in one giant pile.
And you have to follow this exact order. It's not random. It's basically a boot camp for your decision-making skills. You start with clothes, which are usually easier. This helps you build up your joy-checking muscle. That way, by the time you get to the really hard stuff, like sentimental items, you're already a seasoned pro.
Of course, a process this big is going to have its challenges, especially when other people are involved. So let's talk about a few of the common traps you might run into. Oh, this story is just so relatable. The golden rule here is this: do not let your family see your discard pile. It just causes them stress and makes them want to rescue things they don't actually need, which just transfers the clutter to them. It's really an act of kindness to keep it private. And on that note, trying to force your family to tidy up, well, it's just a recipe for frustration.
The best way to inspire change is to just quietly, completely master your own space. When they see your transformation, it often creates a little chain reaction, and they'll start tidying on their own without you having to say a single word.
But what about those things that don't spark joy but are still so hard to let go of? You know, the things where your brain screams, but it's such a waste. The trick here is to ask a different question. What was this item's true purpose in my life? Maybe that sweater you never wore taught you a valuable lesson about what your style isn't. In that case, its purpose has been fulfilled. You can literally thank it for its service and then let it go with gratitude instead of guilt.
You see, when it comes down to it, this whole process is so much more than a chore. When you're quietly holding your possessions, asking if they spark joy, you're not just cleaning. You're having a deep conversation with yourself about your past, about your present, and about the future that you want to create.
And that's the beautiful paradox here. Letting go isn't wasteful. It's the necessary step that allows you to finally see and appreciate and truly cherish the things you love. You're actually making space for joy. So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Imagine if your home, your office, your entire world contained only things that give you a little thrill of pleasure. What would that feel like? How would that change the way you live every single day? That right there, that's the real magic we're talking about.